watch Russell Wilson talk about his future with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Somebody needs to tell him. I mean, I don't know if he's delusional. I don't know what he's thinking. A lot of players don't know when the end is the end, but it's clearly the end for Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh. But let's hear what he has to say.
Russ, you coming back next year? Do you want to come back next year?
Yeah, that's the plan. I mean, obviously, I love it here and everything else, and I think we have a great football team. Obviously, it didn't go in the way we wanted it to, and I think there's a lot more to do. And I said to you guys before, I always just trust God in the process and all that.
I know you had that interview earlier in the season before the Thursday night game where you talked about wanting to play at least 5 more years.
Yeah.
Is that the priority to get the longest term deal possible, or is it the best deal?
That's always been my plan, is to play as long as possible. I've said that since I was a rookie. That's always been my kind of thought process. I feel great physically, mentally, emotionally. If you want to play 20 plus years, you got to love it. And I love the process. I love the mentality, and I love competing with my teammates. So that's always been the plan. And so, I just trust the process and trust, that we'll have those conversations when the time comes.
Russ, how would you assess how you played this year?
I thought I played well. I thought that there's moments I wish I, played a little bit better. I feel like, I had 2 kind of plays that I wish I had back, to be honest with you. The one in Kansas City and the one in the Ravens game, just kind of put the ball inside. Other than that, those 2 plays in particular, I competed and I tried to give my all. Obviously, felt like we didn't play good enough, when we needed to as a team. But I think that, I hated missing games. I hated missing those first 6 games. I don't really miss games like that. And that kind of was just, disappointing. But I love how guys made plays. I love the teammates. I love, just seeing how George made plays, how Calvin really became a big, person for us in the season. I thought guys like Pat and all that. And I thought just from a leadership standpoint, I gave my all every day. And I think that's the best thing you can always try to give.
Russ, you've been on playoff winning teams, Super Bowl winning teams.
Mm-hmm.
What is this team missing?
I think missing is the wrong word. I just think that we got to recalibrate and get sharper on a couple things here and there, and continue to grow, continue to evolve. I think we're young, especially on offense. We'll continue to grow and all that. But I think that I just think that we weren't able to finish, and we obviously didn't start good enough in games. I think that always helps us when you get ahead a little bit early. So we got to figure that part out.
So when you say that's the plan to come back, have you expressed that to the Steelers, and have they kind of reciprocated that to you?
I think they've known that I've always wanted to be here and play here, but it's also a process. And we haven't had those meetings yet. So that we'll have those, and we'll go from there.
What about the situation here makes you want to come back?
I just love the guys. I love the locker room. I love Coach Tomlin. I love who he is. I think that obviously this place is a place that I think can win a lot and all that stuff too. And I think we have a championship caliber football team. Like I said, it didn't go the way we wanted to this year. But I love playing football. I love playing the game. And if it works out that way, then I'll be excited to do that and put the black and gold on again.
Where do you find the most untapped potential in this offense, and what you guys need to do that you think really could do next season if you return?
I think explosive plays is always huge. I think we had a lot of good ones down the field. I mean, we had some huge chunks down the field, plays, passes, guys caught, make great plays. I think just finding explosive plays earlier in the game too. I think it's always key. You're always looking for those, 7 to 10 explosive plays a game, whether it's through the running game, pass game. I think those always help. And then I just think continue to mature. I think we're a team that's growing every day.
2 more. What was that, Russ? The slow starting stuff, because you guys were a pretty good team, especially when you were really cooking there at 10-3, coming out of the locker room at halftime. Like, you're good at quick adjustments. What were the issues leading into games?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at the last game, the playoff game. Obviously, I thought how we were super aggressive and guys making plays and all that stuff in the second half. We did a really good job of that. We didn't waver in our mentality. I thought that we didn't give in, and a lot of people do, to be honest with you. I don't think we did. I thought that we made plays when throughout that game. I'm just thinking about the 98-yard drive that we had, backed up, and Calvin making the play over the middle, and guys making big plays, Van scoring his touch, and then coming back. I think GP scoring, and just that's a testament of who we are. I think that at the end of the day, though, it's how do we execute early, and all that. And I think that we went, 17, 18 games without doing that. So I think that's something that, and moving forward, that you always want to be able to do. And it doesn't define the game. It doesn't, but it also definitely helps the game.
One
I
more.
got one more quick question. I gotta go.
Russ, you said 2 plays you want it back. You talked about the pick six and ball.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you never want to, but it's part of the National Football League. You play and you go after it, and but I think also too, there's a lot of plays that we did make that were huge. I think that some of the balls down the field, some of the, I just think that we had some really great explosive plays throughout the season, and just love the guys that we have and how we compete.
Let's talk about what Russell Wilson just said. First, I want to say thank you to Russell Wilson for what he gives to the team, his professionalism, his positive attitude all the time. Not easy to be positive when, you lose 5 or 6 games in a row, but that's what leadership looks like. Unlike certain receivers on the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm not going to mention his name anymore because I'm praying to God that he's no longer a Steeler next year. But Russell Wilson just said he wants to play for 5 more years. Russ, you don't even have 5 more games. Your legs are shot. Your arm is shot. They can't roll you out anymore because you can't really move, and you don't see the middle of the field at all. Your stats against the Ravens were very misleading. A lot of people are going to say he played well, 20 for 26, 2 touchdowns. Russell Wilson, we started slow a lot of the times this year. And one of the biggest reasons why the Pittsburgh Steelers are starting slow in every game is because Russell Wilson is old. And it takes him time to get warmed up. He's not young anymore. He doesn't come into the game. His body doesn't come into the game ready to go. And then when it warms up finally, it's too late. And then it goes back to not performing well. Somebody needs to tell Russell Wilson that his time in Pittsburgh is over. It's done. If another team wants him, that's none of my business. I don't care. He should not be retained under any circumstance. Not as the quarterback, not as the backup quarterback. I firmly believe that remember one thing. Mike Tomlin is calling all the shots. He's in charge of the defense, the personnel, the calls. He's in charge of who starts, who doesn't start. He's in charge of what players are being brought in, what players are being let go. You can't have it both ways. Racist Ryan Clark and woke ESPN. When things are going good on the Steelers, Mike Tomlin is the greatest coach that ever lived. The Steelers are Super Bowl bound. And then when things start going wrong, it's not Tomlin's fault. It's the old white guy that picks the players. Tomlin has nothing to do with it. I only bring race into it because that's what ESPN does. They just can't help themselves. That's why I go there. But that being said, Tomlin is responsible for all of it. And if we take a step back in time, Justin Fields, let's look up his stats before he was benched. Yeah, Justin Fields' stats before he was benched for Russell Wilson. His completion percentage was 65.8. He had 1,106 passing yards in 6 games, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. His passer rating was a 93.3. He rushed for 289 yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. He had 6 fumbles, which is concerning, and he was sacked often. But here is the problem. It's not a problem. 4-2. He played in his first 6 games. Justin Fields, he beat the Falcons 18-10. He beat the Broncos 13-6. He beat the Chargers 20-10. They lost to the Colts 27-24. He didn't play bad. Lost to the Cowboys 20-17. He beat the Raiders 32-13. He put it on them. So he wasn't playing bad football. He gave you an element and dynamic to his game that Russell Wilson could never offer in a million years. He can't throw the ball deep downfield like Justin Fields. He definitely can't run like him. He can't see the middle of the field like Justin Fields. Did Mike Tomlin make the wrong decision? You know, everybody went crazy when Russell Wilson took the field. His first game was against the Jets, and the Steelers won 37-15. His next game against the Giants, 28-18. He played well against the Commanders. They were a tough team, but they got better as the season went on, 28-27. I mean, look, I hate to say that about other NFL teams or NFL teams, but the hype really started the first game that Russell Wilson played. You know, and the first game was probably against the worst team in the league, the New York Jets. They're horrible. And the hype train was nonstop rolling for Russell Wilson all the way until 10-3. They got to 10-3, and then we all know the season self-destructed. Am I surprised that the ship sunk? No, not at all. Not at all. I predicted it. I made a video on it. Justin Fields is the younger, faster, stronger man that needs to be developed, that needed to be developed. The only way he would have got that development was to play. He could have went 4 wide, 5 wide in a playoff game with Justin Fields as your quarterback, threw the ball down the field, something that Russell Wilson can't do. He can't do it. He can't throw the ball in the middle of the field. That's why they always throw passes into the boundary. I mean, it's all under water under the bridge now. The season's over. But these decisions fall back to Tomlin. The same decision that Tomlin made to start Najee Harris the entire year over Jaylen Warren. What if Mike Tomlin put the most explosive players on the field from the start of the season all the way until the wild card round of the playoffs? It's a question. It's a legitimate question. Would we have gotten better results? I think slightly better. I don't think we would have won the Super Bowl, but we wouldn't have been as one-dimensional as we were with Russell Wilson. The Pittsburgh Steelers played an entire game versus the Ravens, got 2 first downs in the first half. In the first half of football in a playoff game, they got 2 first downs. And Russell Wilson, we started slow this year. Russ, you started slow because you're old. That's why. Somebody needs to tell Russell Wilson. Now, I hear Steelers fans all day today, purge the roster, get rid of TJ Watt. He's 31 years old. This is the stupidest effing thing I've heard all day. It's the stupidest statement I've heard all day. TJ Watt had 11.5 sacks this year. He had 1 million pressures, like hundreds of pressures where holding could have been called on every play. I believe he had groin injuries and lower back injuries that the team didn't really discuss. I think he was banged up. I watched him all year. Sometimes he would run off the field, and I would just say to myself, he doesn't look healthy. But Steelers fans, when I hear you say trade TJ Watt, it's the stupidest. You sound just so stupid. I can't describe you any other way. These quarterbacks are trained to get the ball out of their hands in 2.5 seconds. You think it's easy to get a sack in the NFL? You think it's easy? You think it's that easy? It's not. He's being double teamed, chipped. Against the Bengals, they had 3 guys blocking him. Then let's talk about the coordinator. And I'm going to talk about Mike Tomlin, the coordinator. Because Mike Tomlin calls the shots for the defense. You have Mike Tomlin who doesn't scheme well. Doesn't come up with a game. Mike Tomlin's defense gave up 299 yards rushing against the Baltimore Ravens in a playoff game. Every single time Lamar, he put the ball in Derrick Henry's belly, took it out, and ran. TJ Watt came down the line, took out Derrick Henry. Not once, not a single time did Mike Tomlin make an adjustment where when TJ Watt came down the line, another linebacker was there or the safety to blitz to pick up Lamar Jackson. No, we left Minkah 30 yards away from the ball. We didn't blitz a linebacker to get the so-called, well, he's not the pitchman, he's the quarterback in that situation. We took away the option in Derrick Henry. TJ Watt did his job every time. And then we left an open field the size of the whole football field. It's just one running lane for Lamar Jackson. And not once did Tomlin think, am I going to blitz somebody? Am I going to bring a safety down closer to the box to take Lamar on? No, we're going to have Minkah Fitzpatrick run to the line of scrimmage from 15 to 30 yards away. That was the plan. That was the plan. And let's talk about this coaching. The Baltimore Ravens defense, absolutely atrocious the first half of the year. They were ranked statistically 28th to 30 in every single category. Absolutely horrible. Zach Orr was doing a bad job. They bring back Dean Pease, excuse me. I don't know his name off the top of my head. I don't follow the Ravens, obviously. They bring him back. He puts Kyle Hamilton back at his normal position, rearranges things, gives the defense a better understanding of what they need to do. And the Baltimore Ravens go from last in every single statistic to first in every statistics the last 5 or 6 weeks of the season. Here's my question to Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Did they purge the roster? Did they get on, we need to get rid of this guy, we need to get rid of that guy? The same group of players went from last statistically to first. And you all think that coaching doesn't matter. You all think that a defensive coordinator that knows what he's doing doesn't matter. You don't think the Steelers can do that? You don't think if the Steelers had the right personnel as far as the coordinators that we couldn't do the same thing? Of course we could. The answer is not to purge the roster every time something goes wrong. Now, there's some guys that need to go. Russell Wilson is the first guy that needs to go. Sam Darnold needs to take his place. I don't want to hear about anybody else but Sam Darnold. George Pickens needs to go. He has no respect for his teammates, the Rooneys, the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. He's not worth the money, the headache. He's a narcissist. He's never going to change. He's a child. That's what he is. When he leaves the Steelers, he'll be out of the league in 3 years. He needs to go. Cameron Sutton beat up his wife, did this, threw down a flight of stairs. I don't know. Should he have been signed? Absolutely not. Guys with character issues, their true character always shines through eventually, and it always shines through when things are going wrong. So the Steelers needed Cameron Sutton to play well all year, and he was in outer space. He would just blitz randomly, wouldn't do the coverages he's supposed to. He just freelanced the whole. You're not Troy Polamalu. You're not that good. So Mike Tomlin insisted on bringing him in, insisting on starting him over Beanie Bishop, a guy who mentally checked out a year ago. He needs to go. Here's the problem that I have with releasing Najee Harris. The Najee Harris situation reminds me of James Conner. The same exact situation. James Conner was here. Sometimes he would pick up yards like Najee. Sometimes he could do absolutely nothing. Do I think it's the running back? No, I don't. I don't think it's Najee or James Conner. And people right away, Isaac Salamo, he's playing horrible. This offensive lineman's playing hard. Broderick Jones, get rid of him. Get rid of this one. Get rid of this guy. That's not the answer. We need to get an offensive line coach that really knows what the hell he's doing. The answer to everything is not to purge the roster. Yes, some guys need to go. Some play is unacceptable. To me, Patrick Queen, His play is unacceptable. He had 60, 70 tackles this year as the starting inside linebacker. He was horrible. Cam Sutton. Here, George Pickens needs to be gone. Russell Wilson, great guy, true professional. I appreciate what he did. It's time to say goodbye. Najee, I don't think he should go anywhere. I mean, I don't think we should give him, an all-time highest paid running back contract. But James Conner is down in Arizona having a good career. So we need to look at who these coaches are. Who's calling the shots here? Mike Tomlin. Who's bringing in the offensive line coach? This one, that one. Mike Tomlin. Who's calling the defense? Mike Tomlin. You don't think we might have a coaching problem? You don't think Mike Tomlin might be a bad judge of character when it comes to bringing in certain coaches to coach certain things? Because I guarantee if we had top-notch position coaches, defensive coordinators, offensive line coaches, the Steelers would be a different team. These are professional athletes. This is at the highest level, right? We're talking about a game of inches where every inch counts, where every angle counts. And you think having mediocre coaches is going to help the situation. The smallest things give you an advantage at this level. The answer is not to purge the roster. Offensive line, if there's one thing I could say about our offensive line, they need to train that West Side Barbell. They need to get physically stronger. For the things that forget what they're being asked to do. They're offensive linemen. They need to be strong as hell. They need to be strong in the weight room. Every single one of them. Lower body, upper body. I don't want to talk about the draft, but we need a guy on offense that's an elite superstar. That's what we need. We saw what superstars did to the Steelers in the playoff game. Lamar Jackson is a superstar. Derrick Henry is a superstar. Name the superstar on the Steeler offense. We don't have one. You know how rare that is in the NFL? Think about that. You know how rare it is? Every team in the NFL has no matter how bad the team is, has that one guy on offense that's like, you're like, wow, he's unbelievable. The Steelers don't have one guy. Pat Freiermuth, he's probably their best offensive weapon. Does he scare a defense like that? No. Is he an above average tight end? Great teammate? Yes. Did he have a great season? Yes. Can he hurt you? Yes. Absolutely. But that extra sizzle, that extra gear where he could take over a game. Now, fine, he hasn't had great quarterbacks. Maybe he could still show me that next year. I don't ever want to see him leave. We need a guy on the Steelers offense like DK Metcalf. Little to no baggage or maintenance. Big as hell, strong as hell, fast as hell. Can take over a game in a second. That's what the Steelers need. They need a bona fide superstar on offense. And obviously, we need a quarterback. I'm going to keep saying this over and over and over again until it happens. Sam Darnold is the answer. And let's think back to when Baker Mayfield came off the IR. When he signed with the Bucs for $1 million. We could have had Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, the same Baker Mayfield that's taking the Bucs to the playoffs every year, that's having lights out seasons, that Baker Mayfield. No, but we'll bring in Russell Wilson, Mason Rudolph, and let's save the best for last, drafting Kenny Pickett. You don't think Tomlin signed off on that? Of course he did. That was his guy. The softest man in the NFL, missing multiple games because he had a bone bruise. A bone bruise. A bruise. Oh my God, Kenny. Your teammates are playing with broken bones and missing limbs, and you got a bruise and you're not on the field. That's Mike Tomlin's decision. The answer is not to purge the roster. 3 or 4 guys need to go. Do I think Najee could be an adequate runner and above average? Yeah, I really believe that. But in order to run the football, you need offensive line coaches and offensive linemen that really know what the hell they're doing and use the offensive linemen to their strengths. Something that the Steelers don't do. This coordinator issue that we have, the defense that we ran against the Ravens, I mean, absolutely, it's so bad. It's not even, I can't even put it in words how bad that performance was. I think the Steelers defense, that all 11 guys were absolutely horrible and they just all forgot how to play football. No, it's the coaching. It's the coordinator. It's the scheme. Now, there was a couple guys that were horrible. Cameron Sutton needs to be cut. Patrick Queen needs to be cut. Jackson needs to be cut. Beanie Bishop should have started. The entire defense wanted him on the field over Cam Sutton. Who did Mike Tomlin play anyway? Cameron Sutton. So, Steelers fans, stop with the nonsense, screaming and yelling how basically every single guy on the Steelers needs to be let go. I know it's not a good Monday for everyone. I understand this was a Mike Tomlin apocalypse where, the Steelers lost 6 games in a row or 5 games, whatever, 5, 6, who cares, 7. They lost every game in a row to end the season. 5, 6, 7, 10. What's the difference? But Steelers fans, the answer is not just to get rid of our entire team. I can't keep reiterating this over and over and over again. Yeah, we got a couple guys that need to go. But the one common denominator that this all falls back to is Mike Tomlin. You're paying Minkah Fitzpatrick $20 million a year. If you look at the play before it starts, Minkah Fitzpatrick is 30 yards off the ball. He's 30 yards away from the football. He has no chance to make a play on the ball. And look what happened against Baltimore when he got the pick in the red zone. Not the last game, the game before. Why was that? Because he was only 10 to 12 yards off the ball because they're in the red zone, the Ravens. This whole thing that Minkah Fitzpatrick needs to be traded immediately. Every year he's getting worse. He's terrible. He lost all his ability. No, Mike Tomlin lost the ability or never had the ability to scheme the right way or take advice the way he should use his players. If you got rid of Minkah Fitzpatrick and he went to another team, for the next 4 or 5 years, they'd have a lights out free safety. 3 to 5, 4 to 5, whatever. Minkah Fitzpatrick's not the problem. TJ Watt is not the problem. Peyton Wilson is not the problem. Keanu Benton is not the problem. Mike Tomlin is the problem. I'm going to close it with this because I'm tired of repeating myself. The answer, we have the horses. We need to add a couple more to the stable. Quarterback, wide receiver, defensive back, corner. You can never have enough corners. You can never have enough pass rushers. Nick Herbig, we need to get him on the field more. I'll get into that in my next video, a certain scheme you could use to get Nick Herbig on the field to rush him. We don't have, overall, the majority of players on the Pittsburgh Steelers we can win with. We got a couple guys who we can't win with, and if you really analyze their play, George Pickens, head case. Cameron Sutton, head case. Russell Wilson, he's old. These are things that really have nothing to do with, well, Russell Wilson's an ability issue. It's over. It's over for Russ. Those other guys, they're head cases. Tomlin has a bad habit of bringing these types of guys in, and he thinks he can fix them. And it's proven time after time, it always ends bad, and he can't fix them. We need to get the best coordinators in the NFL into our building and forge our players into steel.